Welcome back to the channel. We've got the semi in the shop, and as you probably saw from the thumbnail, we've got to install some fuel tanks. We need some juice to get this puppy running. That's going to be on the agenda for today, as well as we need to finish that hood, and I'd like to get it back on because, well, it's kind of in the way. So hang tight, let's get started on the hood and these tanks. Here's the hood. As you can see, I've got this strip or intermediate strip that's going all the way around the inside of the hood. I've also been bolting it or screwing it with these things. They've got kind of a Phillips head on them with a lock nut on the back. And then if you look over here, you can kind of see the 10-inch piece. Of course, it's a little longer than what the final product's going to be. But basically, we're going to curve this around all the way there. I think I'm going to split the difference between this hole and this hole. So we'll put one right here somewhere in the middle, and then we will kind of wrap this thing around, and that's going to be our 10-inch extension. It's kind of hard to visualize right here, but if you kind of see from this view here, you can see what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and take this, wrap it around with bolts, and hopefully this will be a good solution to our shorter hood issue. What I'm doing is using actually holes that were already here, but I want it kind of symmetrical. So I put one right in the middle. That's just kind of holding it for now. But I'm going to find the center between these two, and I want them to split the difference, and that's where we'll put the next screw. So at least it looks somewhat presentable, even though I don't even know if this is going to work. We may scrap this whole idea, but it's what I came up with, it's what I've got, and it's free. So we're going to go with it. Now, let's go ahead and figure out what the distance is here. And it looks like we're at 23 1/4. So half of 23 1/4 is, I don't know. Do you know? Let me pause it. I'm going to go do some math. I know there's going to be an eighth involved. So we're getting somewhere. So let me figure out what that half is, and we'll go from there. All right, so I've got it figured out. And it's actually closer to 23 1/2, or maybe I'm just trying to be lazy with my subtraction math. Anyway, so half of 23 is going to be 11 1/2. And then add a quarter to that, so 11 3/4. So, if I can get this to stay out, there, we'll put it. Okay. So 11 3/4. Now this is my crude way of doing this kind of thing. I'm gonna put a little dot at 11 3/4-ish. Now I'm gonna double check here to make sure my math was right. And it was close. It's close. Close enough. Very close. Okay, so now what I want to do is make sure from the bottom of this up that I'm centered there. So if I measure here, that hole is exactly at 3/4. So this one, and I just happened to hit it right with my dot, is at 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and drill there, and then we'll adhere it to that backing plate that you saw a minute ago, and we'll just keep doing that, wrapping it all the way around. So what I'm doing is I'm going to drill it, pre-drill it, because these aren't self-tappers. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I'm also going to push it down so that I'm level with the end of the actual hood. And I've got this on wheels, so she's wanting to slide. The nice thing is, this aluminum's real easy to drill and do some of that. If I have to weld anything on it, well, I've never welded aluminum, so we're going to be having to figure that out. But maybe we can avoid it, at least for now. All right, the way I've been doing this, because that hole's just a little bit smaller, I'm just going to run this screw in. And I'm going to put a nylon locking nut on there. Can you see it? got nylon. Not like what women put on their legs or whatever. But it's gonna work for us. So one thing that I did is I've already drilled this hole onto that backing plate. However, it left a bubble in here because it wasn't quite flat enough, which is why I'm gonna add some hardware as we go, just so it makes a nicer transition around these curves. Got that one in there. Now let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, that's gonna work. Before, like I said, it just wasn't right, so I think this is gonna work. Okay, we've got this side mocked up anyway, we'll call it for now. I'm running a little short on this hardware, so I'm gonna go and do the other side just to kind of get it close to where we want. We need to run a couple more of those bolts or screws, whatever we want to call them, down on that backing piece. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this other side done, just so we can at least put the hood on, and then we'll come back down the road and get this, clean up the edges. And I mean, I don't know if we're gonna paint it, and if we do, we gotta do some kind of a transition here. Is that gonna look good? Is this all just a waste of time? I don't know. What I do know is it is gonna work for now. We're gonna run it. So once the hood's done, we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the tanks. All right, I've got the tank that I'm putting on the driver's side on a jack so we can kind of see where we want it. And it's resting against the frame, just kind of hanging out. So I guess what we could do is take a step back and see, does this look good? Right there. Some things to consider is existing hardware, of course. So these cross members, you know, we can't be getting into those. We're pretty free and clear on this side till we get to that stuff, which that can be removed without a big deal, but that can't. So, boy, I think this is kind of gonna put this where it wants to go. I suppose we should see what's on the other side. We're in the middle there. Do we got room for some bolts? That's gonna be the next thing that we kind of got to figure out, because we don't want to be drilling all these holes and the thing not work. So let's go ahead and jack it up and see how it looks. Okay, up we go. I think what I'll do is, if this looks good in place here, and of course you guys like it, then we'll go ahead and mark our holes and see how this thing kind of lays out. What I am concerned about is that cross member. I don't want these bolts to get in the way of that, because then of course we wouldn't be able to tighten it. And I also wonder, how high up do we want this? Oh, that looks good. I mean, I'm not a semi-truck driver guy, but dang, I kind of like the way that looks. What I think we'll do is we'll just center the brackets holding these tanks, these mounts here, from top to bottom, and put it right in the middle. So then the only concern is what happens on the back side of this. And we could go over just a tickle. We don't want her falling off the jack. I think this is going to work. It's kind of deciding for me where it's going to go, because I'm limited. I could move it this way more, but, well, we've got the exhaust pipe someday going to come up. I really got to stay clear of that, even though, you know, I think it'll be plenty good. I'm going to step back and take a look, and maybe just for the heck of it, we'll try moving it up, oh, I don't know, 6 inches, see what that looks like. See if we can not drop it off the jack and scoot it up just a tick. Because we can and do have the room for it. There we go. Boy, this is a tough choice. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna be honest. It seems just a little crowded here, and it really doesn't leave us much room for that exhaust. I think, and I don't know if we're putting a sleeper on it. I think we've talked about that. I'm still up in the air on that. I have the sleeper, but this might be just a day cab. I might do one of those day cab extender things. So I got a little more leg room, but I don't know. Yep, I agree with you. I think it goes back to where we had it. So I'm gonna go and get that set up, and then I'll bring you in, and we just gotta figure out the mounting as far as this cross member. Because I don't wanna move the cross member. We could, but let's just see, we might be okay. We might be okay. So hang tight, let's get this thing back where it needs to be, and then we'll start marking our holes. We've got it pretty close to where we want it. I'm just gonna start making a couple marks on these inner holes and the outer ones since we're sitting here. So kind of like in that, on the steps that we did, or those storage containers, we're only going to do the tops, I think, for now, or just a few holes, because we'll come back when I get a mag drill someday, and that'll have to be sooner rather than later, and we'll do it proper. So right now, I'm just running some lines as to where it is currently. We got the holes marked, but we may have to go up a little bit. And actually, looking at it, I already know we probably do, because we want this level. And since I don't know ride height and all that stuff yet, we just want it level with the frame, and then we'll figure everything else out as far as the rear bags someday when we get those in. So I'm going to grab my tape measure, and I'm just going to measure from the center of the bolt. Whoops, put you back where you go. I guess I got it marked, so it doesn't matter. But measure from the center of our bolt on this side is 1.5 inches to that flange. And this side, oh boy, that is awful close. It is, I mean, really close. We might be a 1/16 off. And I can figure that out when I mark the holes to drill. Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is go and take the tanks down, and we'll start drilling these holes and see if everything kind of lines up. You know what I just realized? I took this spacer off. It was on the tank brackets from whenever I purchased them, and I've got a perfect template, at least for the distance there. So if you, I don't know if you can see it very good, but my holes are lined up really well. So, oh, look at that. That is gonna really help out. Now what we're gonna do is that red line I've got, I can see that this one's lower than this one. So I think what we're gonna do is get this one to match this one. So this will be the one that we go off of. And actually we'll use this for this as well. What I'm gonna do is just measure to the top of that, and it looks like 1.1 inches is where we are. So I'm gonna put this one down, and here we're at 7/8 of an inch. So what is that? 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch off. It's quite a bit. So let's, how do we want to do this? Well, you know what I think I'll do is I'll just make 2 marks here, 1/4 inch, and see if that'll work. You know, there's the right way to do things. There's a wrong way to do things. Then there's Opie's way of doing things. A lot of times it actually works out, and when it doesn't, well, you feel kind of dumb. At least I do, but that's all right. Sometimes you just gotta roll with it. I can barely see where that other mark was there. So we're just gonna use our straight edge that has a bump in it. All right, so that gave us our 1/4 inch. Now let's remeasure and make sure my math is right. I'm doing this stuff on the fly. I haven't done this yet, so I have no idea. Maybe what I just said is completely wrong. Well, we're gonna try it anyway. All right, right, so here we're at, I'll be darned, 1.1 inches. Here, pretty close to 1.1 inches. We'll recheck this, 1.1 inches. 1.1 inches. Boy, I think we got it. I think we got it. We're a little bit down on this end, but I'll fix that. I won't forget, don't you worry. Plus, there is a little bit of forgiveness in those brackets, so, I mean, that if it's off of 16, who cares? We'll get it just right. So, are we really drilling already? I better go find a center punch of sorts. Drill a pilot hole. Let me just see, you know, boy. Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about is the back of that. And I mean, we're centered. I'm going to double check our screw holes-ish, or future screw holes. And right there to the center, we're just under 2.5. And right here to the center, gosh, real close, real close. All right, well, I think what I'll do is maybe 1/16-ish. I'm gonna scoot the center punch that way. Other than that, I'm gonna center. So let me go grab that and we will start our pilot holes. Okay, got my center punch all sharpened up here. I'm gonna find the center, just offset it ever so. Same with this one. Well, that's where our holes are going, so let's go ahead and get to drilling. Now we got some juice, so let's give her. All right, we got our pilot holes done. For some reason, they drifted right back over where they apparently want to be. I don't know. So I might just encourage the big bit to go that way a little bit. But at least they're even, and they're both the same. So let me grab the big bit, and we will start the big holes. I've got both sets of holes drilled. Let's go ahead and see how lucky we are, and see if this tank's gonna line up where we want it to. I believe I've lost my board. That's okay. One bolt in. Two bolts in. All right, now, just so it doesn't want to fall off here. But the thing is these tank brackets are a little bit oversized, so we should be okay. But I haven't always had the greatest of luck. So let's. Holy moly, that one slid right in. I think we might have got her, folks. Sometimes getting stuff to line up is so tricky, and boy, when you get it, man, that's nice. Wow, come on now. I'm gonna push that up a little bit here. I promise I've put a bolt on a nut before, or a nut on a bolt, but there. Now we really got it this time. All right, I'm gonna let the jack out. And I'm gonna go grab a wrench and a socket. And I bet you I won't even need the wrench, but I have it just in case. And maybe I will for the other side. And yes, I have an impact, but when you're doing something new like this, I kind of like doing it by hand, I think. Definitely think I like the fit of this one better. I suppose if it works, it works. Now, am I going to be able to get a socket on this? Okay. What about this side? Guess I could try shallow, but that'll only work for so long. All right, we officially have one tank mounted, at least for now. We'll probably end up pulling the tanks and marking those other holes. And I don't know if I'm going to wait for a mag drill or not, but I don't know, might pull the tanks. It'll make it easier to drill those holes. Shit, maybe we can even keep the brackets on. I don't know. I'm going to go and do the other side. You only really need to see one side. The other side's going to be the same. So I'm going to go and knock that out, and then we'll pull her outside and just take a spin around and see how she looks. So hang tight. We'll get that side knocked out and check this bad boy out. Here we have both tanks on and the hood. That hood looks like absolute crap. I'll be the first to admit it, but we're not done with it. That's just a rough draft, so to speak. But more and more, she's looking like a semi. I'll give you a quick walk around here. We'll have to get some front fenders for it and shape that extension on that hood a little bit. But there it is. So there you have it. I gotta be honest, drilling those holes was a nightmare. My drill bits kept going dull on me. As we already know, I don't know how to sharpen them. I've spent hours and days trying to figure it out. Absolutely horrible, but we got her done. The tanks are on, and that's exciting. We'll do some more drilling when I get that mag drill, and we'll get a nice one of those round 5/8 bits, and it'll just smooth through that steel like butter. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be down the road. Anyway, these projects that I'm doing, everything takes time and of course money, and I'm just biting off a little bit at a time, and I'm trying to bring you guys along for the ride. Hopefully you're enjoying this and getting something out of it. I really appreciate you waiting till the end and watching this whole thing. Hope you're having a great 4th of July weekend, and don't forget to get out there and get some of your own projects done. Just pick one thing, and a little bit at a time, and eventually you won't have much left to do and you'll be done. At least that's my theory on how I'm going to do this. So thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.